Thank you. Thank you for tuning into my podcast, Airborne Entrepreneur, and welcome. I would like to introduce you one very special guest today. It's Sharon Gleeson. She's a health coach, and I met her years ago. I can't even remember. I think it was like 5 years ago, and we just kind of bumped to each other again after a long time. We didn't see each other probably for 2 or 3 years. And I'm so happy we reconnected because she had so many things to talk about. She changed a lot. She put so much time to education and developing her business. And she's absolutely amazing example in health and nutrition. And I will talk about your exercise as well because it's very great. But welcome to my podcast. And I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you, Alex. I'm really excited. It's actually my first podcast. So
thank
you so much for inviting me to have a chat. And I'm really excited.
Thank you very much. Why I invited Sharon is because she has really long career as a health coach, nutritionist. Like she's doing a lot of stuff around having and living the healthy lifestyle. And I think that's the big thing coming up. And, work-life balance, healthy lifestyle, we talk about it all the time and we try to fit it into our busy lives. But also, you know how it is in busy life because you're coming from corporate. So I will probably ask you first to tell us something about your story, like how did you end up as a business owner and what was before?
So before, so I actually studied teaching when I left school because I was one of those people who didn't really know what to do. So I sort of fell into that, but kind of wasn't really me. And I was very fortunate that I was offered a graduate position in one of the big financial services firms when I finished university. And that sort of kicked off my career. So, and I never really aspired to be anything in particular. I guess I was just one of those people who worked really hard, always put in my best. And I guess I was quite fortunate that, opportunities presented themselves to me. So I actually ended up building a career in human resources, but in particular in change management, because I ended up doing a lot of divestments, mergers and acquisitions, and big corporate restructures, which it sort of seemed to follow me. So I ended up spending 10 years of those in actual change management and consulting, which I really loved it. And I think what I loved about it, and when I look at the common thread in my career, whether it's what I'm doing now, what I originally did, or my corporate career, I do really love helping people. And that's probably what fundamentally drives me. But I did get to that point, like a lot of people, where I was trying to juggle the corporate career. My husband also had a very successful career, and we had 2 girls who, lived a very, very busy lifestyle. And, we did make that decision when we had children that I wanted to be there for them. So that was really, really important to me. And so we got to a point where I just was one of those people, like a lot of people, I think, where you get stuck on that hamster wheel, where I just remember I just felt like I was running all the time. I'd be running into school, dragging them out, driving them, just life was just, really, really full on. And I got to a point where I just thought, I need a change. I just cannot keep doing this, which is hard. Like, you either choose to stay on that hamster wheel or you choose to make a change. So I got to a point one day where I thought enough is enough, and decided to actually stop and start my own business where I would have a bit more control over my time and my schedule.
That's very interesting that we usually stop ourselves like in that, I don't know, I always said it is the age probably around 40s. Some people have it around 50s. We just realize that that's not life. And even when I'm working for 1 or 2 weeks, the way that I don't see my partner, it just feels almost weird. Like we are not actually even together. It's more like just having, I don't know, body living video, like that's all. Just sometimes being together during the weekend. But I guess when you have kids, that's totally different story because you really want to spend time with them, especially when they need you the most.
And it's funny because it actually wasn't when they were younger. That was the easier time. It was more when they were teenagers, to be honest. So I look at people now who are saying, oh, like I need to be around with them when they're babies and they're young. But honestly, and you think that things will get easier as they get older. Honestly, it actually gets harder. I always remember Fiona, I think it was Fiona Wood, the burns surgeon, saying, I think she had 4 or 5 kids, and she was obviously really busy with the work that she was doing, and she said to her kids, I think it's time that we got a nanny. And the kids said, oh Mum, we don't need a nanny, we just need a taxi driver.
Oh my God.
Because, you know, a lot of it was just, you know, getting your kids, you know, where my children go to school and where they were going to their after school activities, it wasn't possible for them to get there by public transport and, you know, like, I guess some of the, you know, the best times I have with my kids is in the car when anyone who's got teenagers would know that, you know, they're often in their rooms or they're studying or they're out. So I actually really value that time, and I'm kind of coming out the other side of that now. My oldest is at university. My second has only got, you know, less than 18 months left of school.
Wow.
And actually, you know, that's the one thing that I'm really grateful for, is that, you know, I could have stayed on that hamster wheel and just kept on doing that thing, or I could have sacrificed my career for my kids. And like I did, I mean, obviously I made changes, and you know, I do sometimes think, what if I had have stayed doing what I was doing? Where would I be now? But I'm really glad that I did make that change, because I'm not the sort of person who would have wanted to just sit around and, you know, lattes all day and go shopping. You know, you've got to pay the bills somehow. And so I'm glad that I've built something else, because, you know, when Emily finishes school next year, I'm actually really excited. I'm excited that I've got something for me that I've been able to build, and I've still got, you know, plenty of years left in me where I can, you know, have a great career and help lots of people. So I think that's the other thing too, is being able to see that there are different chapters in your life, and that sometimes we need to make some changes for that particular season, and then that can be different, you know, as things change in your life as well. And it kind of goes the same for health.
Yeah, I think that's a good point when you think about it. Like I always said, when you think about it, like what would happen, you know, in when you would stay, I probably always said that decision is always good, because that will be probably one thing that we will never regret, because we'll probably regret the things that we didn't decide for, or didn't start, or didn't try. And I think I always admire people when they leave actually the corporate job, because I was in corporate job as well. And I know how comfortable it is to have that, you know, income all the time. It's coming to your bank account. It's not really stress. Like when I was thinking about like what is business and income, when you think about it, the first year or two in business are really hard. That is probably, you didn't have that much time as well for family, because you were probably building the business. How was that transition for you?
I think time-wise it was okay, because I was in control of my schedule. So I wasn't probably one of these people who, you know, started their own business and, you know, burnt themselves out for the first 2 years. I actually probably was the opposite. I probably started slow and then ramped up, partly because I guess, you know, some of the infrastructure was already there. I think, to be honest, for me, what I probably struggled with was, and I don't think I'm an egotistical person at all, but I think I did struggle with that whole, what will people think? You know, she's had a really successful career, she's leaving that and she's starting her own business. Like that was probably more what I struggled with, was actually other people's opinions and thoughts. And, you know, I remember someone saying to me, well, I mean, there's a saying, you know, other people's opinions of you is none of your business, which that's fine. But I think someone sort of said to me, you know, other people don't lay awake at night and worry about the things that you worry about. They've got their own things to worry about. People aren't worrying about what you're doing, which was really, really good advice. And, you know, there's some things that you think that you're really grateful for. That's something I'm particularly grateful for, because that could have actually stopped me from making a change that was better for me. Other people have got their own lives, and what I do is really of no consequence to them. It's me that has to live with the consequences of my decisions, and you know, the things that you have to go through with those decisions that you make.
And I think exactly, like it's all values, and you're like, everyone has different perception, and you always make someone not happy. You know, that's always person that is happy and someone is not. That means I was learning that a lot as well, because we can't make everyone happy, and you know, everyone think that we did great job. But anyway, like let's jump into that new career that you build up, this health business. And I know you're all about health, and you do a lot of exercise, lots of sports and challenges that I still don't understand how you can do this rottenness swim. That's for me still kind of, I don't know, it's a miracle. That's why I was going to ask you about it. It's like how you put yourself there. Like I know there are sharks, you know, there's cold water, and you don't know what day, you know, how the weather will be. That means it has to be so challenging. That means, can you tell me just a little bit about that? Because I will jump straight away after to the health, but I'm curious about this one.
I've always swum, like, so I think, you know, when it comes to exercise or sport. Everyone's got their thing that they are passionate about.
Yeah.
I always swam growing up. And I did have a break actually when I went to university. I stopped for a couple of years and, was just partying and living life. I actually did my aerobics qualification back in the day. So I taught aerobics. That became
that's
passion.
nice.
Yeah.
I remember that once.
I know. I've got the photos to prove it, don't worry. Bring back the 80s. But I actually got an injury, and a friend of mine was doing a triathlon, and I said, I'll come down to the pool. Jumped in the pool, swam 2K straight off the bat and just loved it. And I've never stopped swimming since. And I think people think I'm crazy. My idea of stress management, some people love to go to yoga. For me, I'd rather go and do 3Ks in the pool. I just find it incredibly therapeutic. But I'd actually moved back from Sydney and I was in my 40s, and I think I might have been having a midlife crisis, to be honest. I was loving life in Sydney. I came back. I was just struggling to get back into it. My dad also had gotten really sick and passed away. So it's kind of like, I felt like I needed something. I was in it really flat. And I thought, right, I'm going to do a half marathon and do the Rottnest Channel swim. And I don't know, for whatever reason, it was that exercise was what, sometimes you need some sort of a Kickstarter to get you out of a dip. And for me, it was that challenge. And in fact, I actually did the half marathon before I did the Rottnest swim. I needed to psych myself up for the swim. But yeah, I had a friend who'd done it plenty of times. She always talked about how it's a great fun thing and it's a great team thing. And so I had a friend, I said, oh yeah, I'm going to do it. So I had a friend who he also wanted to do it. But honestly, that first year was one of the worst years weather-wise. That we did it. We had a totally inappropriate boat. We had a 40-foot yacht, which anyone who has ever gone to Rottnest or done that, there's so many boats on the water that day, it doesn't maneuver easily.
Oh my gosh.
I got sick. So the first year it was cold. February is normally so hot in Perth. But it was it was a really, really good mental challenge. And yeah, the first year we did it time of 8 hours 20 minutes. That's how bad the weather was, and also we didn't have a very strong team, and we sort of finished it, and I got on the boat and I said, I am never doing that again. But by the time we'd actually got back to Perth, we did it the next year and did a really good time, and trained better for it, made sure we had a strong team, made sure we had the right equipment, and all of those things matter. I think we sort of went into it a little bit blindly. Rather than thinking a bit more ahead, planning what we needed. Originally we were doing it for fun. I don't personally love jumping into the cold water. The sharks never bothered me. Although the next year that I did it with my daughter was one of the years where people did get pulled out with the shark. But we were ahead, and we actually came third that year. But so I think because we were so motivated to finish, because we were past that shark, it motivated us to keep on going. But the next year when I was on the boat and I could see where the shark was in relation to our boat, that's when I was a bit concerned, because the previous year I thought it's behind us, which is stupid because come anywhere. But we were so motivated because we knew where we were coming and that we were doing well. So we just kind of kept on going and didn't even think about the shark. But the next year I wasn't swimming and I was on the boat and I could kind of see it all around me. It was scary.
Okay, I was thinking about Rottnest swim. Now probably I will just leave it.
Look, honestly, I say to people, it's probably the safest day ever if you're going to do an open water swim, because
there's a lot of boats and
patrols and boats, and the sharks don't really love it anyway. So you're probably safer than just jumping in on a normal day.
I will think about it that way, because I still want to do it one day. But
it's a good mental challenge, and it is fun. And I guess, obviously if you don't swim, it's probably not something that you'd enjoy. But
I love swimming.
If you love swimming, I definitely think it is something. If you live in Perth, it's definitely a good fun challenge.
Yeah, my friends, they did Rottnest in Exmouth in the pool. They did it. I know that was a lot of different states, I think, and different places they were doing the same thing. When actually Rottnest was happening, they were doing same times, same thing all day in the pool.
That's my ideal Rottnest swim, would be doing it in a pool.
That would be great.
Because it's heated.
And it's no shark for me. Anyway, okay, let's talk about a little bit about healthy lifestyle. If you can maybe tell us what does that mean, or like maybe what is your perception about that healthy lifestyle?
I think, you know, when I talk to a lot of people, when it comes to health, people focus on diet or nutrition,
Yeah.
or they might focus on diet and exercise, whereas there's a lot more to it than that. So, I mean, you know, there's different views on pillars of health, but I guess the way that, you know, we look at it is you've got exercise, or I like to call it movement, because some people hate exercise. And so maybe reframing that as movement for some people can make it seem more appealing. So I believe it's, you know, it's about movement, it's moving your body, it's about nutrition, but it's also about, you know, a couple of other big factors that people don't think about, which is stress. Because stress can play such a massive impact on a lot of areas of our life. It's about self-care, and it's also about sleep. But the big thing I think that surrounds all of it for me is mindset. And to be honest, with the people that I work with, it's usually that's the thing that we need to work on the most, because you can do anything you want, but a lot of the time for people, you know, it's their mindset that will take them out of, you know, leaving work early to go to the gym, or feeling guilty about going and taking some time on the afternoon away from the family on the weekend for some self-care, or, you know, whether it comes to sabotaging nutrition or whatever. So mindset, I think, is a really big factor as well. So for me, health is about more than just, you know, nutrition and exercise. It's about looking at your whole lifestyle and making sure that you've got, and look, there are going to always be times when things get out of balance.
Yeah.
Can't always expect that we'll have a balanced wheel, if you like. You know, stress will be higher at some times in your life, but it's about trying to make sure that we can, you know, it's okay to get those things out of balance for a while, but we need to make sure we can bring those things back into balance regularly.
Yeah. And acknowledge that, I guess, you know, that yes, that happened, and don't feel guilty that we have a little bit of stress, or something happened, or we didn't go to gym. Just don't punish ourselves. And I love what you touch on, that is really important. That mindset is very important. And I think it's you're right, it's most important actually, because when you don't have right mindset and you don't shift your thinking, you can't achieve something different, because you need to change your strategy. If you're doing something wrong and you need to start to exercise, that's something new for you. That is all about mindset. And it's funny because it's same in business coaching or leadership coaching. People coming from businesses and they said like, oh, I just need different systems, I just need new system. I said, but you're not going to use your systems, because you already have systems. And now basically it's taking us 6 or 5 months sometimes to shift that mindset about cooperation, communication, and understand actually who is actually doing what, and the roles in a work or in partnership. And it's just so interesting. And it's all about mindset. People just change mindset and everything is going really well afterwards. And you see that big change. And I believe that's the same thing, that when you see the change in mindset, in health, people actually get healthier.
Absolutely.
I mean, you said it's diet. It's the diet, nutrition, in general, nutrition, probably exercise or movement, mindset, that stress management. And I know it's a lot. Like if somebody is very new into that, because it's quite hard to probably navigate in, you know, amount of information, then what you will probably recommend, and what is your view on, let's start with nutrition or diet?
One thing with diet is, I think there's people say, what's the best diet? And there's no one best diet like that. So there's a bunch of paradigms, I guess, that I believe. One is that there is no one best diet. The best diet for you is the best diet that suits your lifestyle, because we've all, especially these days, you know, people live such different lifestyles and different, you know, beliefs and things around, particularly around food. You know, some people, you know, they're vegetarian, we've got vegans, you know, a lot of people have got intolerances. People have different palates as well. And so it's really about finding things that is going to suit that particular person's lifestyle and also their body as well. And you've got to kind of, I think, experiment and use your body as a bit of an experimentation lab, I guess, because, you know, when I talk to people about foods, and if I say to someone, you know, what foods do you find drain you of energy? And then what foods do you find, you know, give you energy? People generally know. it's just that they often don't stop to tune into their body and think about those things and then make conscious choices sometimes about what they're doing with their nutrition. So really, you've got to understand all of those factors first to be able to then actually help someone work out what's going to, work with them best. But I still find that one of the easiest ways to help people is, thinking about it, because it doesn't matter whether you're vegan, paleo, trying to do ketosis or whatever. I still love the healthy plate. I think just that little mental picture of, trying to fill half your plate with your, non-starchy vegetables, a quarter of your plate with your lean protein, and then the other quarter made up of, your healthy carbohydrates. We still need carbohydrates. They're really important. They're a good source of energy for us. It's just that people often are not making the best choices around the carbohydrates. So more, your whole grains, your brown rices, quinoa, sweet potato, those kind of things. They're all great sources of energy, and also healthy fats. Again, there was a period, I think it was in the 90s, where people were really like low fat, but we need fats. Like, they're really important for lots of functions for our brain, for our skin, for insulating our body, for a really good source of fuel. So, making sure we've got healthy fats, so your olive oils, your avocado, oily fish, those kind of things. So for me, I just love that, because it's a very simple thing that whether you're going to a restaurant, whether you're going to a lunch bar to organise, lunch, or cooking at home, we can actually really easily implement that into whatever lifestyle, because someone who's vegan can use that, because you just choose a vegan source of protein. So I love that. I think that that's a really simple tool, and I find a lot of people love that, as a simple way of just thinking about how can I put together a hormonally balanced meal so I am getting the nutrients that I need.
Yeah, I think it's a lot that you say right now, and I think that's great wrap up of like what we can choose or what healthy stuff to eat. But I will probably just check that, or just talk about that a little bit, because it's really, really hard in general when you're going, or now when I started to work in Fremantle, for example, in office, I need to look for some food or going somewhere for lunch, because I get really hungry, like in the middle of the day. I'm like, I need to eat something. And now I just have this hungry rush. That means I just need to grab something. But I try to find like healthy restaurants. And the thing is, there is not much. Like yesterday, I was in one, I really love that place. It's beautiful. I had one time amazing meal there. And yesterday I was like, I will try something else, because they have only like 10 choices. That's all. And I just ended up with this big portion of proteins, because I had eggs, and actually I had it with chicken, and I had bread I didn't touch, and I had a little bit of veggie, like really tiny bit of veggie. And I realized that there's still a lot of places that don't do salads and beautiful salads. I mean, that is actually nutrition rich, I would say, because all salads are greens and that's all, or it's, like tomato and cucumber. But to have really that, I don't know, beans or meat or whatever it is, like, it's really hard to find the place. That means, what do you do for like this kind of, like when you're going to work, for example, or you do a lot of stuff, or you're driving around, how you choose to eat, or what do you do it to make it simple? And
it's a really good question. And to be honest, that's actually a lot of what I do with people is anticipating and planning, because a lot of people, they are, and particularly I think around lunchtime, that's often, people are usually at home for breakfast and usually at home for dinner, or if they're not, restaurants cater quite well. It's actually lunch is often the hardest thing for people. So, I think sometimes taking leftovers is a really good way, because that way you can control. I often will plan my meals that there's enough that is left over for the next day, so that, you can take that and then be a bit more in control. When you're going out, it's a case of, I guess, looking at a menu, trying to find the best option that you can. But also, a lot of restaurants are more flexible these days. So, sometimes, for example, if, there was a meal that might be, grilled fish and salad and chips, I might just say, look, would you mind holding the chips and just giving me more salad? So I think sometimes you can almost ask them to readjust the portions on the plate. So it's often just a case of making the healthiest choice that you can. And sometimes it just means that, you are a bit stuck, but, then you just, I think what happens sometimes then is that people then often use that, and that becomes, the catalyst for, oh, well, that wasn't the greatest choice. So then you make another bad choice and another, and before you know it, you've gotten off track. But you just go, you know what, I've done the best I could here, so I'm just going to make up for it tonight, and maybe have a smaller plate or have more veggies because I had a protein overload for lunch or whatever. And I think that's the thing. I think sometimes we overcomplicate things, we make things too hard for ourselves. We have to be able to do nutrition around our lifestyle. I know for me, whenever I go away on holidays or whatever, I'll make, what good choices I can, but I know that I'm going to have a period where, when I went to Italy for my 50th, I mean, we were eating gelato and pasta and drinking wine every night, but I only did it for 10 days. Yeah, and I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
But I only did that for 10 days, but I did still make sure I had a really good breakfast. And we were walking and so on. But when I come back, then I get back on to my healthier lifestyle. So we've got to be able to learn. I think what happens is people swing the pendulum. They either want to blow out, or they then go on some crazy thing where they're trying to be really strict and do everything perfectly. And you can't live like that. When people are doing this all the time and they go on a some crazy diet that they
can't sustain that.
No. Or so two things happen. People go, especially New Year's resolutions. That's always the biggest one.
That's the big one.
They do it for 3 days or 6 days or a week or whatever, and then they just blow up and go off the rails. Or they push themselves for that 30 days, get great results, or 8 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever they're doing, and then they get to the end of it and go, oh, whew, I've done that, and then they go back to the old habits. Because when you do something as a challenge, you see there's an end point, and you're not actually really looking at creating habits that are going to be able to be part of your lifestyle. And I mean, I've gone through my own journey with that. I used to be someone who would obsess over, exercises. If I didn't do exercise, 5 times a week, something was going to happen.
I know that feeling.
I mean, I remember one year going for a run after Christmas lunch. I mean, crazy stuff. And I guess, I love that because I can relate to people who are a bit obsessive, because I've been there myself with exercise and with food. And I've learned how that you can actually go and, have a holiday and enjoy it, but it's then about getting back on track.
Exactly, and have system that you already have system that works for you, and just come back to the system. And I think a lot what you're saying is still coming back to that mindset, because building the habits and actually be able to sustain them, it's all about that. But I agree, I was saying, and I can see that in a lot of people, that they start 30 days challenge, 60-day challenge, 90-day challenge, whatever it is. I had 4 months challenge, and it was great. But after that, you just, you can't sustain lifestyle like that when you skip everything. You don't have any chocolate or any pizza.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, for me personally, I like to live my life 80% of the time I'm being really good.
That's right. Yeah.
20% of the time, I'll have a couple of glasses of wine or a gin and tonic on a Friday and Saturday night, and I'll eat pizza with my family or
and I love that.
Okay.
And I think
that's sustainable. When people, deny themselves, as humans, we don't like rules. We want to be able to break the rules. And so we need to be able to, I think it's actually about exactly what you said. It's about creating healthy habits, but also figuring out, what do I want for my life when it comes to my health? Like, what do I want to be able to do? Is it about, having the energy levels to get through the day? Is it about feeling good, and fit and healthy and vibrant? Is it about feeling good in your own skin? Is it about, sometimes with older people, it might be about, or not even older people. For a lot of people, it's about, have I got the energy to keep up with my kids, to kick the footy around with them, or get down on the floor and play with them, when for the grandchildren and so on. Is that important to you? Do you want to actually be able to live your life to the fullest, and not be, held back because you haven't got the energy to do the things that you want to do, or you haven't looked after your body and it's inflamed and you're in pain and you can't, get about or you're carrying extra weight that's making it harder to do the things that you want to do. I think people need to figure out, and when you've got a strong why, or it's the person that you become. Like for me, I'm just a fit and healthy person, but I still enjoy my life, but that's who I am. And the habits and the lifestyle that I've adopted now fit into that. But it's not about having some strict diet. It's about it being a part of who I am, and, you know, falling in love with being the best version of yourself that you can be.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so important. I will probably, because a few things just came up when you were talking, and I was thinking like, yes, I let it slip away, you know, to really take care of my food because I was too busy and I had too many coffees and all that stuff. But after a few months, I realized that I have anxiety from coffee. Like I actually felt really like somebody is actually sitting on my chest. And I thought like, okay, I worked too hard, probably I'm going to have a heart attack or something. I was already creating stories about that because I get scared because it felt really strange. And I didn't have any idea it's coffee. But after a few months, I was like, okay, I need to change something. And I was putting on the weight, but I was not eating that much, but I was always eating in the evening. And I never, ever eat in the evening before. Like I was not a big dinner person. And that was what my partner told me, but it's not good. I'm trying to get back. And I realized the last few weeks I did create some kind of plan. I said, look, the first thing what I want to change, because I can't change everything. I'm really bad with that. But I stopped drinking coffee for a few weeks, and that actually helped me so much. I calmed myself down, and I just felt so amazing. And yesterday I met one guy, and he said, oh, he was drinking hot chocolate at a breakfast. And I was like, chocolate for breakfast. He was like, I can't touch coffee because I feel anxiety and actually really bad. And I was like, that's interesting. Like people actually saying that now. Then it's probably that's something like just have a look on one thing. And I prepare my food. And last 2 weeks, I realized last week, just 1 week of preparation, actually, when I don't need to eat big dinner now because I have actually some food during the day. And it's actually nutrition, like full of nutrition, and it's quite healthy. And I didn't feel hungry in the evening. And I lost 2 kilos straight away after a week of just eating normal again. That means I love what you say. Just really think about it, what you want, how you want to feel. Start with outcome and end of mind, because I think it's so important to know where we're heading in general, especially in lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle. That means
sorry.
Yeah, go.
I think that's one of the things, like a lot of people will plan for their career, they'll plan for their finances, they'll plan travel, maybe not so much now, but we plan for a lot of those things. But I think health is not something most people plan for. They don't actually stop and think, what do I actually want for myself?
Yeah.
Am I on track with that? Or, am I not on track with that? And also too, I love what you were saying about, coffee and things like that, because again, a lot of people don't really tune into their body. They might know that they're not feeling great, but they don't actually really stop to think about what is that, what's with that. And I was very similar, actually. I loved a coffee at 10:30 in the morning, and at 3 o'clock before I'd go and pick up the girls from school, I'd have one as well. And I actually started to feel like in the afternoons, it was making me feel a bit agitated. I was getting a bit of the heart palpitations. And I thought, I'm not sure this is actually really serving me anymore. And coffee is one I often chat with people about, because I think with some of those things like coffee, I'll always say to people, all right, let's just talk about coffee. Like, why are you drinking coffee? Is it because, that's just the first thing you do when you get up in the morning? Is it because you're using coffee as a way to have the energy to get through the day? Is it because you're not eating, and so you're using it as a way of, feeling full, or just giving you energy to get through the day? Is it you love the taste and you just really enjoy having that coffee? Or is it because it's just a mindless thing that you do every time before you go to a meeting? You just have one. I know for people, and I'm the same, I do a lot of meetings. I could be drinking a lot of coffee every day. So I've even started, like today, for a meeting I'm going to, because it's a beautiful day, we're actually going to go for a walk and talk. And you know what, that's a good, alternative to, I guess, sitting and having a coffee. But I guess what I say to people is, think about, are you happy with what you're doing with coffee? And, is it that maybe there are some other reasons that you're using coffee where maybe you could make a healthier choice? I would never say to someone, don't drink coffee. But I think, if it's a habit and you're just doing it mindlessly, or if you know that it's not really serving you, particularly for people who don't have breakfast and they're just having a coffee or they're using it as a way of basically replacing eating, that's not a healthy habit to have. And then it's maybe asking someone if they're open to exploring some other options so that they can have the energy to get through the day, without just using coffee as a quick fix.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I definitely had the time that I was using coffee instead of food because I didn't have time for breakfast, and coffee was just quick fix. And yeah, that's right. And I think just that habit, again, we're going back to mindset. When you're sitting down and going for meetings, like you said, when I had 4 meetings, I had 4 coffees, and I was struggling afternoon, and it's actually not giving me energy. It's actually helping me to lose energy. I don't know why, but coffee never really gave me energy. I never felt that way. That means definitely for me is not to have coffee to get energy. But it's interesting. I was thinking it's giving me energy until I actually started to really think about it and testing myself when I don't drink coffee, how I feel. And I felt first week when I stopped drinking coffee, like first 2 days were like, oh, my habit, it's gone. But probably 1 week in, I felt more energy than ever. And I really felt that, clean energy. I don't know how to even explain that. I felt like that's me and I'm healthy and I have energy. And it was weird because I always thought that it's coffee. That means it's more, maybe just investigate, like you said, stop doing something or maybe change something or think about that. And
that's what I like to think about, things when it comes to health and particularly around nutrition, is you don't take things away. It's maybe replacing it. So, with coffee, for example, if someone's drinking 5 cups a day and they want to cut down, I don't say stop drinking coffee or you can only have 1 a day. One of those cups of coffee, start with maybe replacing it with water or sparkling water or tea or something else. So it's about swapping. If people eat chocolate, I'll say, well, instead of having a chocolate, how about having something that still tastes good but a healthier alternative? So I think if we can replace the habits with something else, that's a much easier way for people to make change than just kind of, and I think that's the thing when people go, oh gosh, like there's all these rules and I can't do this and I can't do that. That's when people don't love it. It's about, explore, like you said, I never thought I would stop drinking coffee. But I was sort of, when I did my first Roto swim, I wanted to get my body as healthy as I could. And so I decided that I would. And I had a massive, massive, massive withdrawal headache for about 2 days, as your body gets rid of all those toxins and adjusts and stuff. But I was a little bit like you when I came out the other side after a week. A lot clearer thinking. And look, it doesn't mean I couldn't have gone back to having a coffee a day if that's what I wanted to do. I just lost the taste for it, and I just found other things that I enjoyed more.
Yes.
So coffee, too much coffee can put a drain on your adrenals. And also, because when people are using it as an alternative for food, your body's not getting the nutrients that it needs. So it's always going to make you feel tired because you're not getting the nutrients into your body.
That's such a good point. That's actually really good what you said, because I know I had the time that I was very tired. I was coming from work and I couldn't even imagine that I need to still cook dinner, for example, or I still need to do something or go exercise. What I was actually always exercising, but I just had that time where I was like, something is going wrong, something is not right. And I realized when I was counting the calories that I didn't actually eat enough food. That means, but I thought, because I felt full, like I didn't, feel that I need more. But sometimes we just don't get enough nutrition. I guess that's also important. Like we really need to focus on what we eat and actually how much energy we actually taking, because we can't give.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing, like, I was talking to a client last night and he's really into cars. And I said, you've got to think about your body as, a high performance vehicle, car, whatever your favorite car is, a Lamborghini or Ferrari or whatever. You're not going to put water in your Lamborghini. It's just not going to run. And you're not going to just put normal, unleaded fuel in there either. You're going to use the high octane fuel for your Lamborghini. And if you want your body to perform like a Lamborghini, you need to put the high octane performance stuff in there, not fill it up with junk or empty calories, like putting water into your body, not water, sorry, but things like coffee or, you know, empty sort of calories, it isn't giving your body the nutrients it needs. And I think that's what a lot of people do, is they'll fill their body with, and look, I'll be honest, I used to skip lunch a lot of the time. I'd made my kids healthy lunches, you know, got their breakfast and everything ready. You know, I'd always make a healthy dinner no matter what. And at lunchtime I'd be busy. You know, the thought of stopping and preparing food for myself, you know, wasn't appealing. And so I would skip lunch because I could get too busy and not want to stop and make it. And then I'd go and I'd be hungry, so I'd grab some rice crackers or a muesli bar. So it's not like I'd drive through Macca's on the way to school pickup, but I wasn't putting good nutrients into my body. And it's interesting, like I think a lot of people worry, like particularly people who might be, you know, worried about putting on weight or maybe struggling with their weight, when you start to say, look, we're going to eat more. Like I'll often find people who maybe have a goal to lose, you know, a few kilos, when you actually ask them to step through their typical day and they tell you they don't eat breakfast and they tell you what they have, you know, for the other bits of the day. As soon as I start suggesting to have 3 proper meals a day, they get nervous and worried that they're going to put on weight. But what happens is that when you're not putting the right nutrients into your body, so particularly for people who skip breakfast, when you do eat, your body's actually going to hold on to that. It's called starvation store mode, because your body's going, oh, you know, I've got something here, I need to hold on to that because I'm not sure when I'll be fed next. So rather than going, yeah, no, I know I'm getting a constant source of fuel here, so I can just keep metabolizing, our body hangs on to it. And so it's not working properly. We actually play with our metabolic engine when we do that. So actually having 3 good meals a day, if you've got that kind of healthy plate mentality, and you're having the right mix of protein and so on with your meals as much as you can, you actually, like, I don't find I need to snack very often during the day. You know, there might be the odd day where the exercise build-up means that I need more, but because I'm getting the right balance of nutrients with each of those meals, my metabolism works really well. I never, ever have counted calories or weighed things or anything. Like, people don't want to live like that. It's amazing how simple it can be, but sometimes people just have that fear mentality that, if I eat 3 meals and I'm only eating 2 at the moment, I'm going to put on weight. Most people actually find the opposite. When they start having 3 meals, they'll end up losing weight because their body is actually metabolizing properly.
That's actually something that I saw so many times as a problem, that people actually put on the weight. They actually don't lose the weight, but they don't eat. Like, they don't actually eat, and almost nothing. And I know when I was in school, I was like that for a period of the time. I was like, you know, I want to be skinny and you want to lose all weight. And I actually didn't eat much. And I had probably slowest metabolism that I can imagine. Like, I just couldn't digest anything. And it became so hard to digest even small salad or small lunch. That means to really slow down your metabolism that way, it can be really, really bad for you. Like, even to start it again, it has to be really challenging.
And yo-yo, that sort of yo-yo dieting, we call it, where people do that sort of thing.
And
it does actually, every time you do that, you lose part of your, you know, your metabolic engine, let's just call it that. And it does make it harder. So, you know, and I think that's why, if you can just learn how to live a healthy lifestyle, that whole balance, you know, still being able to have a bit of fun. Like, my thing is healthy living made simple, easy and fun, because we want it to be easy. Like, that's the problem. Like, the reason why a lot of people are getting Uber Eats or, you know, going for the quick and easy options, and the supermarkets don't make it any easier for us. You know, every time you go there, everything is pre-marinated, pre-packed, whatever.
I know.
And full of, you know, all the preservatives and artificial colors and flavors and sweeteners. That's why we go for those options, because we're busy. But so we need to be able to find ways to make it easy to live a healthy lifestyle, but also make it fun, because, you know, food and going out and parties and all that kind of thing, it's an important part of, you know, our social fabric, I suppose. And, you know, I think that's the thing, is when people feel like they're denied those things, they want to rebel. And, you know, nutrition is not just about feeding our stomach. It's actually, there's a feedback loop going on between our stomach and our brain that's telling us if our brain is actually satisfied also with, you know, that whole process. And if we're not, because we're being too hard on ourselves, then that's where, you know, things come unstuck. So I think balance and just something that's simple and easy and still enables us to enjoy life is the best solution for people.
I like that. And I can tell with the 30-day challenge that I have with you, it's funny because you have 30 days, you kind of get rid of everything, but you also reset your body. And afterwards, when you finish, you're actually happy to go out and enjoy the life, not like normal. But of course, like you said, keeping the rule 80 and 20, just really 80% of the time, try to still live that healthy lifestyle. Avoid, I guess, foods that makes you or inflame your body, because I think that's the big thing, like when you don't really feel right, even though you don't eat a lot. And I guess they have that choice, like some people don't like dairy, some people don't like, you know, bread. They know that doesn't make them feel good. I think just to have that awareness, that's the big thing. But look, it's so, like, probably so many things you can talk about, like it's such a broad topic. And we still didn't touch on like some exercise. We still didn't touch on other stuff, more in mindset. And we talk a lot about diet. And I will probably just ask a few things at the end, because I know you do a lot of workshops as well, because it's all about stress management as well. And I was on your workshop. That was amazing. And I think it's great awareness to really understand what is causing stress in general. Like it's not just stress, like we don't have time, you know, like a time stress or work stress, but it's also a lot of noise and a lot of chemicals around. But when you can probably just suggest something very simple, when someone really wants to start this journey and create healthy lifestyle, that is there any like ideas, tips that you can share, and just suggestion for people that don't have really, you know, broad knowledge, because we don't really study that. We just really need advice. That means anything that come up will be great probably for people.
Sure. I think what I like to do is get people to think about where, you know, even if you rate on a scale of 1 to 10, where am I at with my nutrition? Where am I at with my exercise? Where am I at with managing stress, sleep, and self-care? And sometimes what happens is people will be really good on some things. Like, you know, I'm really good on exercise and nutrition, but to be honest, you know, it was the stress and sleep and self-care that I needed to focus on. You know, if stress is a number 10 on your scale, start with one thing. And I think that's the thing is, you know, I've done this workshop before where we've got people and they'll say, I'm terrible at all of them. And if someone like that then tries to change everything in their life, they're like, right, I need to eat better. I've got to start exercising. I've got to reduce stress. I need to spend more time with self-care. That just creates more stress in itself.
Pressure,
I say to people, if there's one thing when you've done that really stands out, let's say, for example, if you go, you know what, my nutrition is really bad, or my stress is really not good right now, or my sleep is not good, pick one thing and just make one simple change. Because my favorite saying when it comes to health, and I learned this off my health coaching course, is small hinges swing big doors. And what is the best way to start with someone is pick one thing and work on that one thing and get that right. Because sometimes what happens is that one change can then have a ripple effect. So and it just depends. So often for people maybe where they're not exercising or they're not sleeping well, sometimes when you start with nutrition, and maybe it might even be as simple as going, do you know what? I know I'm struggling with the 3 o'clock cravings, you know, and, you know, I have a real crash and I'm using too much coffee. I'm just going to start with having a healthy breakfast. That might be one thing that you change. Sometimes what happens then is someone starts eating a healthier breakfast. I've got a client I'm working with at the moment, that's one change that we've made with him. You know, he gets up at 5:15 in the morning. He's at work at 5:45. He's got 4 kids. He gets home from work at about 6:30. So for him, having breakfast in just 1 week has made a massive difference. He said, I find I get out of bed easier. I'm not snacking as much during the day. I've got more energy. Now, when that happens and you've got more energy, then maybe the thought of after work, perhaps, you know, going for a short walk becomes more appealing because you're not feeling like you've got no energy. And then you might sleep better because you haven't been drinking coffee all day to, you know, get through, or making poor choices. It's amazing how much of a link there is between our, you know, our nutrition and sleep. Likewise, if you're someone who's getting 5 hours sleep a night, maybe it might be about saying, you know what, I'm going to make a commitment that I'll aim for 6. You know, don't try and say 8, because if for whatever reason you're not getting, you know, more than 5 hours sleep, make a small change, and do that, because sometimes then when people have had more sleep, then they might feel more inclined to, you know, actually do exercise if that's something that you're struggling with. So sometimes a change in one area can then have a ripple effect into another area. But if you can sort of work on that one small thing, get that good, then work on the next thing, get that nailed down, then work on the next thing. You know, it might even be, I'm not going to have 5 cups of coffee. I'm going to cut down to 3, and I'm going to replace 2 of those with something else. Just start with small changes, because small changes over time. There's my favorite book is Atomic Habits.
Yes, I knew you were talking about that. I was just
you wouldn't get through a podcast without me. Honestly, I feel like I should get commission from James Clear for every time I speak to someone. But it's a really great book, and he uses that thing about creating little changes, because those little changes, if you keep stacking those habits over time, will result in, you know, big changes.
I really love that. And I think in everything, it's not only in health, but everywhere in your life, any kind of category, that I agree. Just really small change, start with small change, because big change can be overwhelming, and it's easy to give up on big change because we are sometimes not able to do that big step, you know, and it's easy to take small step. Yeah.
I think the other thing I would just say, just a couple of things that I always say to people about, you know, whether it's exercise, nutrition, sleep, whatever, is, and that's where that whole mindset piece comes in, is, you know, people will always say, I'm too busy. Like, we do live a crazy lifestyle, but, you know, we can make time for the things that are important to us.
Yes.
I think that's the problem, is for a lot of people, you know, particularly, you know, I hear it a lot of the time for people when it's, you know, exercise. I'm too busy at work, you know, got held up at work, then couldn't get to the gym or whatever. We need to actually start to put boundaries around some of those things and say, like, this is actually really important to me, and make a commitment that I am going to leave work at 5:30 no matter what, and I am going straight to the gym. We need to, we can make time for those things. It's a case, like for me, scheduling in exercise, like exercise is one of the first things that goes in my diary every week. There's some things that are fixed, but there are other things that are a bit more fluid. Those things, I'll look at my week and I'll go, right, so I'm going to swim Saturday afternoon this week or Sunday morning. Like, I always put those things in, because if I don't, it won't happen. And for me, those things are not negotiable unless there's, you know, some disaster. So it's a little bit about, you know, managing your time and making choices to put those things in. It's the same with, you know, I find with food, you know, I got to one week, I was at the supermarket every night, because I would never resort to takeaway or Uber Eats during the week. So I'd still make a healthy meal, but it was like costing me time. It was costing me money. And I thought, you know what, like, I've got to make time every weekend.
Yeah.
I make time to plan my meals for the week and get to the supermarket. And I find that, yeah, as much as I'd rather be doing other things on the weekend, just going and, you know, having that preparation makes the whole week just run so much more smoothly. And I actually end up having more time because I'm not wasting time going to the supermarket every day. So they're just some little things I think around mindset is, you know, even just the things that we tell ourselves. You know, people go, oh, I can't, it's not possible. It is, you know, it is possible. You just have to make a choice to make it a priority.
Yeah. I love that. And I agree. It's like we can do if we want. I always said, when someone said they can't, I said, because you don't want, that's all. Yeah. That's all what it is. And it's our story we're creating in our head, because it's all about our thinking. And we touched on that a lot of in this interview, that is actually all about mindset. And I always said, what we see, what we live, it's all just our thinking. All we experience is our thinking, nothing else. I mean, if you can change that, I believe you can change habits and find the time. And it's funny that you said that everybody says it's busy, and it's in our BNI group, it's really small, funny thing now. Nobody's actually mentioning busy. Nobody's using that word. because one day I said busy is actually a negative word, because it says that you can't manage yourself and you're probably not that successful because being busy is not good. And people just stop saying that, because I said, like you're scheduled, you're probably occupied, you do what you love. But if you're busy, that's probably not the right thing, because you don't want to run business or run your life being busy. Like, that's not how you want to have your life. Why? Why? And it's also, I guess, avoidance technique. And I always said, you're avoiding something. Maybe you're avoiding that gym. Maybe you're avoiding that exercise, and see yourself, in the gym sweaty. And that means it can be a lot of different things. And
I love that. That's a really good way of looking at it. Yeah. I think the other thing too is when people say it's not possible, I say, well, what could make it possible? And sometimes it might be that people need support. It might be that they need some accountability. Sometimes it's budgetary. Like I was talking to a lady yesterday who really wanted to get back into exercise, and money is very, very tight.
Yeah.
And I just said, is there any way within your current budget, so not spending money, is there any way you could find some ways that some money could be reallocated that you could actually invest in going? She wanted to go to the swimming pool, but she also wanted to go to the gym. And she said, like, I do waste a lot of money on arts and crafts and things, and I waste a lot of money on food, like, because she'll go and just buy all random stuff from the supermarket and then throw half of it out because she hasn't planned what making it. So I think even just
that's good.
When we think something's not possible, just thinking, well, what could be possible? Like with that client I was talking about with the exercise before, with his schedule and 4 kids, on the weekend, and this is where it can be really challenging for men and women, is, when we're really flat out during the week because we work long hours and we've got those demands and so on. Sometimes you might feel guilty to go and spend an hour at the gym on the weekend, or going, doing whatever it is that you enjoy doing for movement. But sometimes it might be a case of saying to the family, look, this is really important to me for my health. I'm just going to get up and go and do this on a Saturday morning, but I'll be back and, we'll spend the rest of the weekend together. Or it might be for him, it was finding a way that he could actually incorporate the movement with family time. So, we ended up saying, well, on a Sunday, instead of sitting at the soccer game, walk around the oval while the kids are playing soccer. They're building a house. I said, walk to and from the house. It's only 1 kilometre from where they live, and get the kids to jump on their bike and ride with you. It's about finding ways that you can do things within, your existing constraints, because it is possible. You just have to find a way.
Yeah, I agree. That's really good. I think that was great at the end. Like, always find a way. Just find a way. I think you said so many things. I will probably need to go back and listen to that again, because there was so many amazing things around mindset and tips, and definitely just like small thing that we need to change. When you said like just small habits, small thing that we can implement into our life. I love that you mentioned your categories. Just have a look on all categories of healthy lifestyle, and really keep that holistic. Just really understand that it's not just to like eating right, but it's also moving, sleeping, and managing the stress and all that stuff. I think that's really already amazing. I think we touched on a lot of topics, but at the end, I will probably ask you to share, because I know you run amazing workshops. Is that your health lunch? Maybe if you can tell us something about that, and tell us when is your workshop or next workshop, and where people can find you.
Yeah, so I've got a business with a colleague called the Health Lounge, and we run workshops. We run our workshops at Horizon Yoga in Cottesloe. So we do Create Your Own Health Blueprint, which is actually looking at those different aspects of health and, creating a plan, around your own health, depending on where you're starting now. We do Creating a Healthy Gut. That one's called the Good Gut Guide. We do a couple more women focused. So healthy hormones for women, but also for men as well. And we do a Managing Menopause Naturally. And we've got our Stress Less, Live More. So there's sort of 5 workshops that we run at Horizon Yoga. We often will do free workshops during the week that people can come along to. We run those for corporates as well, if people are interested in doing something in the wellness space for their employees. And then, so they can jump onto the Health Lounge online and have a look at our workshops there, or they can jump onto my website, which is just having a little bit of a revamp at the moment as we try and link everything up. So just sharongleason.com.
Awesome. I will definitely share all your information that people can find you in our description. That means they will be able to connect with you. And I would like to say thank you. Thank you so much for actually spending almost more than hour with me. It's awesome. And I believe this podcast will serve everyone who needs to do or make a little bit of change in their lifestyle. And I believe we will start to build these people that actually have a lot of energy. They really feel great, and they can actually help other people, maybe their kids or partners, to feel great as well.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much for having me on. I really, really appreciate it. Actually, just one little thing I'll touch on is that's something that drives me is the role model that parents are setting for their kids. Sort of mentioned something there that I would have loved to have said, which and that's important, because kids are watching what you're doing, and those habits that they form early in life are things that they will revert back to later. So that's something that's a big driver for me is, healthy parents are going to help set, a healthy future for, the generations to come.
And it's so important, because kids will do exactly what you do when you're shopping for alcohol and you're shopping for chips all the time, or you spending, time in the line in McDonald's. I still can't believe how that those fast foods are full all the time. And if you will do that, your kids definitely going to do the same, and it's not nice. I like that. That's a great message. Definitely. Let's create that example and lead your kids by example. That means you not helping yourself, but also your kids and others. Thank you.
There's a statistic that says that there's concern that our children won't outlive their parents' generation because of childhood obesity, and that's alarming.
It is, and it's scary. And I saw so many families. I don't even want to go there. That will be another probably conversation. But I saw so many people. They're actually happy to see this really, really big kid that it looks so unhealthy. He's not happy, almost can't walk, and still feeding them with sweet drinks, soft drinks, and giving kids something that just be quiet, just go there and play with your chocolate. Or I can't believe that. That means hopefully world, or I would say Australia will wake up, because I think it's big problem in the US and Australia mostly. And hopefully you will make a lot of change, and fingers crossed. I definitely will have you again, probably on my podcast, because it's great conversation about health. And I love to talk about that, because I believe it's very important. And like you said, it's all linked. That means if you want to be healthy here in brain and actually think positively and avoid depressions and all that can actually happen to us, and anxieties, we actually need to change the food. That means
that's a whole nother topic of conversation.
We can talk about it next time.
Connection between the gut and brain and our mental health is massive. But
okay, next time we will arrange this topic, because I think that's really important. Awesome. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
Thanks so much, Alex.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah.